All right, so we will hear from Zahedur, Arman, about challenges of fact-checking in the Global South. And I mean, you probably have already seen the breakdown of our participants here in this venue today. So,
Is this okay?
Yeah, we are just 1 hour away from the lunch, so we have so many organizations coming here from the Global South, so it will be really interesting for everyone, hopefully, to hear about the challenges. And once I set up the slides, he will be ready to go.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Zahedur Arman. I'm from BD FactCheck, Bangladesh. It's Bangladesh's first fact-checking initiative. Today, I'm going to present a part of our ongoing research project. It's about fact-checking in Global South. We are a team of 8 members in our project. And all our university teachers and graduate students in different universities in the United States. So in this research presentation, I will present some findings of our ongoing research project. It's about fact-checking challenges in the Global South, more specifically in Bangladesh, India, and Nepal. Sorry. You know that fact-checkers in developing nations do not enjoy the same facilities due to various constraints. So what are those constraints? The previous researchers found that the types of challenges fact-checking organizations have been facing are related to the political scene of a country where they are operating, to the financial resources they have, and to the technological innovations available to them. That's why it is assumed that the challenges of fact-checking organizations in the developed nations have been facing are not likely to the same as these countries like Bangladesh, India, and Nepal. And the main purpose of this study is to see what kind of challenges they are facing as a fact-checkers organization or as a fact-checkers. So we have formulated 2 research questions. The first one is, to what extent do Facebook users engage with the fact-checking organizations of Bangladesh, India, and Nepal? And research question number 2, what challenges do fact-checking organizations of Bangladesh, India, and Nepal face? To answer those questions, we studied 5 fact-checking organizations from Global South, more specifically from Bangladesh, India, and Nepal. From Bangladesh, we covered 3 organizations, BD FactCheck, FactWatch, and Jachai, and we covered 100% from Bangladesh. And from India, we studied FactChecker, but India has 6 fact-checking organizations, and we covered just 17%. And from Nepal, there is only 1 fact-checking organization, and is South Asia Check, and we covered 100% from Nepal. The main reason for choosing these countries is that India is the largest democracy of the world, where spreading of fake news has been menacing social and cultural harmony. As an example, in the month of election of the country, more than dozens of people have been killed in violence fueled by fake social media messages. In Bangladesh, misinformation on Facebook has been fueling political and religious instability. The situation of Nepal is no different. So we collected data in 2 ways. First, we used a program written in Python to scrap user engagement data from official Facebook pages of the fact-checking organizations. Then a descriptive analysis was conducted on this data. Then we took in-depth interviews from editors and fact-checkers from these organizations. Now, what is the fact-checking scenarios in Global South? The fact-checking initiatives in Bangladesh, India, and Nepal is relatively new. The organizations in Bangladesh started fact-checking in 2017, and India started fact-checking in 2014, and Nepal started fact-checking in 2015. And currently in Bangladesh, there are 3 organizations, BD FactCheck, FactWatch, and Jachai. Among them, the BD FactCheck and Jachai worked as independently, and FactWatch is a project by American Center, Dhaka. India has 6 organizations: FactChecker, Boom, Factly, Alt News, Fact Crescendo, and News Mobile. The first 4 organizations is shown as active FactChecker according to the Duke Reporters Lab. On the other hand, the Fact Crescendo and News Mobile is also a member of IFCN. On the other hand, Nepal has only one organization, it's South Asia Check, and is also a member of IFCN. This is the user engagement. By using Facebook API, we accumulated all Facebook posts created by fact-checking organizations from May 2014 to June 2018. A total of 4,039 posts were collected. As you see, the India's fact checker, they have 3,392 posts. They are highest in the posting of their post on Facebook, but they have the less reactions, less user engagement. On the other hand, Bangladesh has less posts, but they received much more user engagement as comment per post, share per post, and reaction per post. We also checked user engagement over the time, and we found that the fact-checking initiatives in India and Bangladesh are getting more popular. In this graph, the first row is for Bangladesh, the second row is for India, and the third row is for Nepal. From first and second row, we can say that the popularity of fact-checking organizations in Bangladesh and India is increasing. But for Nepal, we don't have enough data to say the popularity of fact-checking initiatives in Nepal, whether it is increasing or decreasing. Okay. From our in-depth interviews with the editors and with the fact-checkers, we have identified 5 major fact-checking challenges in Global South. The first one is lack of resources, lack of machine learning tools built for local languages, lack of digital archives, scarce freedom of expression, and lack of a sustainable business model. Let me elaborate all these challenges one by one. First, the lack of resources. The South Asian fact-checking organizations have lack of resources as they can't buy the licensed software. You know, for fact-checkers, they need some softwares for verifying any image or deepfake, but they can't buy licensed software. And some fact-checking organizations, they don't have any full-time employee. They have just part-time employees, or they are just doing volunteers with their organizations. And also, some organizations, they don't have any office. So we found in Bangladesh, there are 2 organizations, they don't have any office space. So what are the consequences of such lackings of resources? The consequences is that they are forced to ignore a large number of suspicious claims. If we think about the fake news, or the number of fake news is increasing, on the other hand, the number of fact-check report is much more lower than the number of fake news. So there is a big gap between the number of fake news or misinformation and the fact-check report. So we need to think about how to decrease this gap. The number 2 is the lack of machine learning tools built for local languages. Most of the machine learning tools are developed for English language, but there are different languages in South Asia like Bengali, Hindi, and Nepalese, and many other languages. So what happens when a fact checker tries to check anything in local languages? We took in-depth interviews from Mohan Mainali. He is an editor of South Asia Check. He said, if we can search for particular information from a PDF file on Nepali text by entering keywords in electronic documents, it would be easier for us to search for information we want. This facility is available in many other languages, but not in the Nepali language. And we also took interviews from the fact checker from India, and India's Chaitanya Mallapur said his organization focuses on data, not text. And this leads to another big challenge, because when you work on data, people don't understand the data. So if you work on data, the fact checkers need some knowledge about it or how to visualize the data. So they must need some kind of information or qualification about that. The number 3 is lack of digital archives. Digital archives are very important for fast verification of claims. In the in-depth interviews, almost all editors and fact checkers said that they don't have a good digital archives. If you search anything on Google in English language, you can find it easily. But if you search anything in Bengali language or in Nepali language, you can find it. Because the situation, in local languages, there is not a digital archives. Shishir said from the BD Fact Check, there is not any tradition of storing data in archives. We publish our report in Bengali, thus it's very difficult to find out actual data in Bengali. If you find data, you cannot get access to it. So there are mainly 2 problems. First, there is not a good archival system. And second, if you find the data, it's very tough to access on it. As an example, in Bangladesh, they have Right to Information Act, but if you apply for any data to the government or any government agency, it takes 10 to 20 days to get the data or get the information. So it's very difficult to find any data from the government. And Mainali also said major challenge we face is lack of archive system. We have to spend a lot of time to collect information that should have been available instantly. So it takes more labor. When you don't have any digital archival systems and you don't have data, you need more labor and you need more time to access the data. And number 4 is a scarce freedom of expression. And this particular challenge is particularly for Bangladesh, not for India and Nepal. As an example, a fact checker said, as a professional fact checker, I received a direct threat from the Prime Minister's office not to publish anything that criticizes the government and its officials. So when they choose any fact-checking report, any fake news, they need to think about that, whether we publish it or not, because the government is very critical and there might do any problem to the fact checkers. And also there are some state and non-state actors in the developing countries. Non-state actors means there are supporters of the government. If any report goes against the government, the supporters of that government, they will not like the fact checkers because that report goes against the government or against the opposition party. And number 4 is the lack of a sustainable business model. And I think this challenge is for both developing countries and developed countries as well. As you can see, Mainali said, he is from South Asia Czech. We are dependent mainly on donors' money, within which is always uncertain. We are unable to make long-term plan and go ahead accordingly. So they need to look for the funding. So they don't know what to do if they don't have any kind of funding from the donor agency or something like that. And another fact checker from Jatsai, he said, self-funded and voluntary initiatives like ours are always at risk of getting closed down. Such initiatives should not run as a hobby or free time job. Having a stable flow of money to keep the initiative alive and to employ necessary resources is essential. So I think we need a sustainable business model for fact-checking organizations that whether it is run for a long time. So in conclusion, I can say that the political pressure is found in many other countries with similar socio-economic background of a country, like Bangladesh is close to in the socio-economic status. If you think about the government, how the government is run, is the same as Turkey and the Iran. So in most of the semi-authoritarian countries, you can find such kind of political pressure to the fact-checking organizations. And the lack of machine learning and artificial intelligence tools built for local languages and lack of searchable digital archives are specific to the countries. And lack of a sustainable business model is a common challenge to the developed and developing countries. So we need to think about the sustainable business model and how to reduce the gap between the number of fake news or misinformation and the fact-check report. So we need to reduce the gap because you can find a lot of fake news or a lot of misinformation on the social media. On the other hand, you can find only a few fact-check report on the social media. So this is what I have. In conclusion, I can say that the challenges offer opportunities for research and development of tools to fight fake news across the world. So these findings are just ongoing research project. So you can ask any question about that. I have 5 more minutes. So now I ask you one question. What kind of challenges do you face as a fact checker? Do you find anything which I didn't ask, I didn't describe here, or you have different types of fact-checking challenges? What do you think about that?
No, thank you very much. I think, well, for me, it resonated. Much of what you said resonated with me. Alan Leonard, editor of FactCheck, and I. 0 members of staff, 0 employees, nonprofit NGO operation. So I understand what you say. You asked me a question about some of the challenges. I think for us, we've had to be kind of lateral in our thinking about who's going to pay us to do the fact-checking. The answer is really, in our case as an NGO, no one. We receive grant money to do some of the training, the education, the media literacy, the citizen engagement, participatory democracy. It's the engagement with the communities and trying to satisfy the grantors' desires there. For us, that subsidizes the fact-checking. Okay. Another avenue for us has been research. So we're recipients of a research grant from the European Commission. So we advise them, we're practitioners, we advise them, the technical people, the academics, about our world. So that helps subsidize the fact-checking. So I'm just offering that as in, yes, I understand many of the challenges. We have faced them, we are facing them. We're trying to build a sustainable business model, but we've had to be very lateral about our thinking.
Okay.
Well, thanks for the report. I'm from Japan, and you said here in developing country and developed country that the problem is different, but what I can say, it's nothing different. We have exactly the same problem, and I used to discuss with the people from Open Society foundation. They say, why don't you just give us money for fact-checking in Japan? And they say, oh, Japan is not, it's a rich country. But country is rich doesn't mean fact-checker has the money. So it's everybody, right? So situation is all the same. And so was the government pressuring the fact-checkers in Japan too. They're oppressing the media and journalists. I don't see any country who is really open about this. So the situation is becoming more and more similar. And as Japan and Bangladesh and Nepal and everybody. So it's about a time that we could discuss, and we don't have any solution, but that's what we have to discuss now. Thanks.
Okay. So I can say about the BD fact check from Bangladesh, we are working just 2 years. It's just a volunteering work, so we don't find any kind of funding from any other organizations, because if any non-governmental organizations, if they fund us, so we need some kind of registration to our country. But the government is not giving any kind of registration to any fact-checking organizations. So it's also a big problem to a country where the press freedom is limited, where democracy is limited. So it's very tough to work in such a position. Any other challenges you face? Thank you.